Yes, hello there, it's myself, djmarkymarks, and welcome back to Marky Does Movies. And today we're going to be looking at a film that I watched last night. I really enjoyed it. It's a Michael Mann film, of course. Obviously, it wasn't going to disappoint. And if you're familiar with Michael Mann, he actually produced and directed the Miami Vice series, which I'm not familiar with myself. I've not watched, but I've watched Heat, which is Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, which is basically about, it's sort of like cops and robbers in sort of like the mid 90s, but it's really stylistic, that film. The soundtrack's really strong, and this is what I felt like with Collateral. It was a really strong soundtrack, really stylized, and it stars Jamie Foxx as well. Some of you will have seen him in like films like Django, Law Abiding Citizen, and it had Tom Cruise in as well, and it had Jada Smith as well. Like, she was kind of in the film, kind of in and out of the film. I'm not going to give away the plot too much, but I felt like Tom Cruise's character, it was something that we've not really seen from Tom Cruise. I've not seen that from him personally in this type of role. I'm not going to ruin it too much, but he basically plays this sort of sociopathic killer basically that's contracted to kill people. And he's got it's weird because he looks really old in it, because he's got I think he's got cosmetics done to his hair or his face or whatever, because he's got grey hair. But this came out in 2004, so obviously Tom's not going to be that old when this came out. But saying that it came out nearly 18 years ago now, well, nearly 20 years, if wow, that's scary. But I felt like it could have come out yesterday. The way that it was stylized, sort of the soundtrack was very fresh. It felt really current. It sort of had indie and sort of rock elements in there as well, if we're talking from a musical perspective. And Mark Ruffalo's in this as well, and I've seen him in a lot of stuff, and he looks so different. I was watching this with my parents, and even my mum was like, yeah, he looks different facially, and he looks very different. He plays this detective. It's very gritty. It felt very real. It felt like you could watch this and it could actually happen to you in real life. And sort of Jamie Foxx plays an interesting character because he normally plays quite a strong sort of, role model, sort of a strong male lead normally. But in this, he kind of played sort of I wouldn't say wimpy, but it was more kind of a bit sort of, he was like an average Joe basically. He played this just average bloke that wasn't really used to danger or being in kind of these really West situations. And basically what happens in the film is Tom Cruise meets him, and he's a cab driver, and they sort of low-key bond, but it's weird. It's almost like Tom Cruise's character he's like an anti-hero, so he's not kind of all the way evil, but he's not good at the same time. He's somewhere in between. And, I felt like Jamie Foxx's character had really good development. You saw him start off a bit sort of shy, afraid to do things, and towards the end of the film, I'm not going to ruin the plot, obviously, go watch it. It's so good, it's so worth watching. But obviously his character over the film develops and becomes more sort of outgoing. Maybe not outgoing, but he becomes more sort of less afraid and more kind of brave, and just sort of sticking it to people a bit more, instead of being a pushover, where I feel like at the start of the film he's a lot more sort of yeah, whatever, people kind of walk all over me kind of well, not kind of like that, but because there's a scene at the start where Jada Smith gets in Jamie Foxx's car, and they sort of have quite cool chemistry, and that's quite interesting because I've not really seen Jada in that many films. I know that she's in Madagascar, she does the voice acting in that of Gloria, but I'm not sure I've really seen her acting before. Obviously I know who Jada Smith is, but obviously she's a lot younger in this. We see a very young Jada Smith, and I thought she was great as well. Jason Statham makes sort of a cameo. He's not really in it, so if you're kind of going in hoping this is going to be all about Jason Statham, I'm afraid you're wrong. It's not really. And just the way that it's filmed, the different angles that Michael Mann used, it kind of had angles from sort of behind people's shoulders. It had sort of really sort of DIY. It felt almost like someone was doing it on my camera, a really sort of just average camera, and it worked, and it looks like the resolution on the cameras look really strong. It looks really current to say it came out in 2004. And just the way that it's filmed, the way that it's shot, you got cinematic shots of Los Angeles, it reminds me of Heat. Like, if you've seen Heat, I absolutely love that. It's got like one of the most realistic shootout scenes in a film in terms of the sound design, and I felt like the sound design in this was really good. There was really good tension. There was like it wasn't that predictable. There were points where like you could kind of see where it was going, but there's kind of like a plot twist towards the end. But I'm not gonna like ruin it. But there's there's just lots of really good things that I felt that were done in this film. Lots of really good elements, really good acting, really good storytelling. It was really easy to pick up. Like, if you went to the bathroom and then you came back and you'd sort of missed maybe like 5 minutes, you could pick it up really easily, and it's quite an easy watch. It's not really like one you've got to like attentively like watch and listen. It was more just sort of casual watching, and it was just fun. There was like comic relief in it as well. There were parts where I thought it was like really funny, and there was parts where like it even at the start it kind of came across like it was a romantic comedy or something like that, or like a family film. It had points where like it had like normalism, and then it had sort of like your intense action scenes, and it wasn't overly violent. Like, there wasn't really much gore. There was like shooting and stuff like that, but it's not like overly violent to the point where it's like too much. It was like, I think it was done right. And yeah, I'd really recommend this film if you get the chance to see it. Collateral, it's really worth seeing. Really good acting, like really, just like I said before, really good storytelling. My only sort of like nitpick would be maybe just the pacing. There were points where like I was watching it and I kind of felt like it's kind of, the film's kind of slowing down in parts, only slightly though, like not massively. But if that's the only kind of criticism that I could have about this film, it's probably just the pacing. But generally, I felt it was really, really intense, and really like, it was a good thriller film. I think the concept of the actual film, like a cab driver being sort of held at gunpoint, it's interesting how they played with it, and I hope like someone explores that again. It was interesting how they explored it, and it's kind of a different direction than I thought it was going to be. I thought the whole film would literally just be him, like, he can't go anywhere, but it was like, it turns out differently than you think it's going to be. So I would give this film probably like a strong 9 out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10. Yeah, but we'll say 10 out of 10. It is definitely really good. It's up there with Heat, I'd say. It's going to be another classic in my books. I'm probably going to go back and watch it at some point. I might do a review on a Heat if I get a chance to watch it soon. So I'm going to be releasing these videos every Sunday or every other Sunday. It just depends when I watch films, guys, if I get the time to do it. Because as you know, I'm a very, very busy man. But if you guys want to consider subscribing, it means a lot. Give this video a like. If you've seen the film, make sure you put your comments in the comment section. Just don't ruin it for anyone else. But I've been DJ Marky Marks, the Diet John Peel. Thank you very much.